Hello you lovely lot, welcome to the second video of Thursday. This one is going to go over some boss battles, some top tips with which champions is best to take against these bosses for the month, but mainly this is all about Cavalier difficulty as well. So a write-up is in the description down below, go and check it out. It just has the boss number, the champion that it is, a little path, kind of like a few champions I suggest, and then boss counters and maybe a little bit of a write-up there. So go and check out the link in the stuff in the description down below. So yeah, I've had a good look through this. I've played out a few champions. Also, I've included unofficial command Mike's Overseer and Purgatory, how to take them down easily videos, because they're always fantastic. So I just want to incorporate a little bit of that. But let's go over all the bosses and some of the best counters for them. Now I will be doing a further Cavalier cheat sheet, which kind of lists like some of the good champions. I mean, FYI, left-hand corner, Venom the Duck, Odin, especially with the pre-fight, you're able to, and cross-fight, you're able to give that aptitude buff, which is really helpful. Venom, he was a really good champion for this, Hyperion and Cosmic Ghost Rider. For the end boss, because the champion does have buffed up, but as well does have things with stun vulnerability, and also combo party, and a good defense. It's not really kind of like the be-all and end-all for you to have a champion that does not have a load of buffs to their name, because essentially you will gain them and get them. But if there's for whatever reason you're more interested in different combinations, you can use champions like Heimdall with the synergies. You can use anything like Odin with, again, the pre-fights. You can get that extra additional buff a lot quicker, and you can say use Warlock, for example. You can use Warlock and he has an armor buff and he gains some more throughout the kind of the thing of the fight, and you're able to do like parry heavy. It's not like, as I said, it's a be-all and end-all for you to have a champion that builds a huge amount of buffs in a very quick succession. But I would say one thing that would be really good is to have some of the Cosmics, or use some of the Cosmics. As I said, my go-to champions were Venom and Odin and Hyperion. I forgot to use in this, but I probably would have used him more in this particular fight because I just think it's a better option. Sp1, just keep champion to that. Watch out for those kind of two bits of fire. And if you are a bit worried, then you could use a power control champion option. That as well, if you're kind of terrible with the specials, then you can use a power control option that you can then just kind of gain some buffs on. As I said, use one of the various champions that give extra buffs in order to give yourself more of a guarantee quicker to build those buffs to take on with buffed up on. Also, watch out for that stun immunity that the Elsabloodstone gets, so keep your distance and watch out for that to fall off. Next up, and it's all about mutants. So some of the various mutants you can use: Apocalypse, Colossus, Archangel, Namor, to name but a few, to then take on the content, because this is the mutant node. As I said, I will do a Cavalier cheat sheet for this month, which I'll try and get done tomorrow. It's just I need to take more of a consideration of different champions. This one's all about the bosses, really. So, what's the best champions to take on? Well, look out for Hurtlocker and stop repeating different types of special attacks, which I think I made the mistake of doing that once. I wasn't really considering what I was doing, but that's something to bear in mind. The build-up on this champion is going to be very important to which champion you use, and Rising Sun is going to be the thing that you want to kind of avoid, especially using like heavy attacks. Will kind of like shrug it off, which is good because you don't want to overbuild, because it's going to be, yeah, not so good. So, in a build-up to this, I was thinking Human Torch. I ended up using Magneto. Magneto is actually one of the most solid options, and that was perfect. But you could use anything that is bleed immune. Keep the champion to the Sp1. Blade with a villain synergy could be an option, but I don't know if I overly recommend that, especially because bleed immune champions will be better. Quake, you can Quake and bake. Ghost, Void, keep distance. Yeah, everything really kind of does well. Human Torch and Magneto are probably the MVPs, more so with Magneto over Human Torch. But hey, it's a means to an end and some great options for this. But word to the wise, maybe watch out for kinetic transference, and as I said, try and make sure rotations around the Sp1 is done. Next up, Chapter 2.1. This is Blade as the boss. Now, for the path build-up, this is all about using tech champions at power control, and the two champions I love the most, especially if you're doing shock debuffs, Warlock, Hulkbuster. More so with Hulkbuster, I think in 9 hits I was able to take down a champion. It's incredible. I'm going to do a full video on that one at some point over the weekend. But yeah, really impressive, really like it. But here's the thing, right? When it comes to Blade, this has caused a few issues because there's a lot on for this champion. There is, first of all, Power Shield, there's flux dispersal, there's life cycle, there's power alternator. Essentially what you're going to have to do is throw SP1s as quick as you get them so that the power doesn't go into the enemy, and because it's unblockable with those special attacks, you will be fired with an SP2 if you do not throw that SP1. So there are many champions to deal with this, because first of all you've got to rotate around your heavy attacks, more so because of flux dispersal, and furthermost because of life cycle. You won't be able to take down enemies unless you are doing lots of heavy attacks. That builds that life cycle, that allows you, when you get to that final point and you see that lovely little pink and you've got the champion at the end, that you're able to get him down. Otherwise it's going to be constantly alive, constantly regenerating around that 10%. So what do? What's the best options? Well, my favourite is always Warlock. My secondary favourite for this is definitely Archangel, especially because this champion can indeed be bled and poisoned, so it can be neurotoxin. So you're rotating around heavy attacks, so that's good. You could say that Doctor Doom is another option, so I maybe would put that in the mix as well if you do want to take it down. I just kind of feel like Archangel is just an ultimate just cheese fest, and I think I one-shotted it with Archangel. I had a good kind of time with this, but it is annoying. It is frustrating if you either don't have the counters or don't have the patience, because there is a patience factor to it, especially because you've got to rotate around SP1s all the time. So as you get a special attack, throw it. Don't wait for an SP2. You are playing with a power alternator too much, and that power will transfer over, and you will hit with an SP2, and you will not be able to avoid it. It will be unblockable, and you'll feel a world of pain. Unless you're a bleed immune champion. But still, I can imagine you feel a world of pain. But yeah, that's my top tips there for that. Now, Chapter 2.2. This is the time that you meet Overseer for the first time. And also on the lanes, this is all about using Mystics. Two Mystics that I recommend are Sorcerer Supreme and Doctor Doom. Majik could be another option, but there aren't, like, you know, there's so many. Again, as I said, I'll go over it in the Cavalier cheat sheet for this month. Overseer is a little bit of a pest. After he throws his special attacks, and I would recommend staying to the SP1, which is all about creating a movement of swiping back and then waiting to see as he goes through the portal and then swiping back with it, because at the end of the day it seems like a motion rather than kind of going like zoom, zoom, like you go one part swipe and then one part. It's like, it's got to be like, as soon as you see it kind of go across, you go, as soon as it goes into that blue cosmic teleportation, you swipe with it in order to kind of make sure you avoid it. It's all about timing. I think once you do it, you'll kind of learn it. So what has he got? Taunter's expertise while they're down, healblock, passive, parry, hard knock life. All of the above is nothing really anything to worry about. The thing to worry about is really with the champion's auto block ability and hard knock life. Although hard knock life is like, if you allow yourself to be eaten into the block, you just wait until there's that uppercut thing, and then what you do is you swipe back. So uppercut with a heavy attack, but you kind of like, you swipe back from it. So that's, if he charges up, then you kind of know to swipe back a little bit. The thing with this is, there is, and I made a mistake. I actually used the wrong champions for this. The champion that champions I recommend for using, which I will be when I go back in, is going to be Moleman, or Mole God. The reason being, he's got true accuracy, and he's able to deal with auto block. When the champion goes away from doing a special attack and goes into an auto-block state, that is the point in time where True Strike champions or True Accuracy champions are really good against this. I would say Karnak, but don't use Karnak. It's all about trying to use Killmonger. Killmonger's a good option. Moleman. The reason Killmonger is really good is because when he comes out, or champion recovers from a special attack, he gains True Strike. That is excellent, because that's essentially what this is. So use that, Killmonger and Moleman, which I'll be trying to use when I go back into this. Apocalypse can be good to deal with hard knock life and the disorient. Then you've got Venom is a potential option, but it's a bit of an iffy one to kind of like deal with. Apart from that, those are my top picks for this. Chapter 3.1 now, and some of the great champions are science ones. I would say because the node requires you to have Petrify on, you can do like heavy attacks, but I would say that champions that are good for this, She-Hulk and Cap Infinity War. As I said before, I will do a proper Cavalier cheat sheet grind guide for the paths, but let's move on to the boss, because that's the most important thing. Guillotine 29-9. So for this, Hyperion, Doctor Doom, and I think that's it. Any cosmic, to be honest, any champion can take this down. It's just understanding your rotations, which if you are good with kind of your striking, then you will be able to get yourself a Fury, which is foresight, intercepting the opponent's dash attack with a basic attack, grants the attacker passive Fury. Essentially, for a lot of times, you're going to be parry, heavying, and in order to kind of like get the champion into that that code. And then what will happen is the champion will be knocked down and go into full immunity. This means you can't do parry heavy, parry heavy, parry heavy. You're like doing parry heavy, then you'll have to wait around. This is where Hyperion's good, but at the same time, maybe it's more slow and steady wins the race with this as opposed to like fully going off on it. But empowered immunity is interesting. Whenever this champion would receive a debuff they're immune to, they generate 33% of a bar of power. Now, I believe what I'm doing with the rotations with Dr. Doom on this one is actually he could be a little bit more effective. Essentially what I'll be doing is building the champion power, I'd then be throwing my SP1, I'd then be taking said power, I'd then be rotating with my SP3. So I'm constantly rotating around the damage output from using Dr. Doom, which I think is a great option. I probably would have done that more. I did mess up my Hyperion fight and then finished it off with Dr. Doom. I actually prefer using Dr. Doom here. I did try Medusa in Uncollected on this one, and it just didn't work. Because I was rotating around, how quick I'd need to do this is, and this is why I haven't recommended Medusa, is I would literally need to time it so right that I had a bar of power, then I would have to do the hit combos or the 5-hit combo, then chain into my SP1 to then get the armor shattered. However, from what I believe, that will be shrugged off. So that's the problem. Like, that's why Medusa isn't the best option, because the worry is that armor shattered could be shrugged off. But there are going to be other options to take, and it's not just about... This one will be about raw power as opposed to... So it's going to be cosmic champions. So your Corvuses, your Cat Marvel movies will be some really good options against this as well. So those are the ones I really recommend. Go further to say, yeah, Cat Marvel movie, and as well any cosmic Odin, Venom, maybe something like that. There would probably be some good options. Except for watch out with Venom, because anytime that you would put a debuff they're immune to, which I believe they would be, it would indeed trigger off the empowered immunity, which isn't good. So yeah, power control options may be good options here, and you could even see the likes of Majik, or again anything that's power control, mystic, cosmic, those kind of things. And don't forget Cosmic Ghost Rider. Okay, by far my favourite fight has got to be Purgatory, because there's so many options to take this down. It's just fun. It is fun to do this. So the champion has Rampaging Authority, while Purgatory is Demonic Rampage. They gain an unstoppable buff. So that's sort of a problem, but there are some counters to this. There's Prey on the Feeble. Whenever the attacker's buffs are nullified, expire or fall off, triggered due to reduced ability action. Defender gains a passive prowess. That's sort of problematic. And you've got Pilfer, Regeneration, Aggression, Fury, and improved power gain. So, champion options for this. There are loads. First and foremost, I've seen some good stuff with Quake, especially because I think someone posted something like getting like 1.4 billion damage or something. It was quite incredible, and that was really cool to see. But there are other things out there that you could take advantage of. Now, I haven't tried Human Torch, but it could be an option, even though the champion is Incinerate immune, and I think it responds to energy damage very differently. However, it's not the go-to option. She-Hulk is a pretty cool option to deal with Rampaging Authority, the same way that Cap Infinity War. If you are using having a tech champion on the team, you can do the Petrify debuff on well-timed block, and Cap is actually a great option. I think I used that on my Uncollected push. But there's also some other options. There's Blade with the villain synergy. There's Spider Ham because the champion will be throwing special attacks. And as well, my personal favourite, Archangel. Twice he's been used in this for me, and he does the business because the champion is indeed poison and as well bleed. She can be bled and poisoned. If you're looking for options to take on the pass, Crossbones Falcon, Jabari Panther, OG Panther, but you need to do intercepts. In any case, with a boss, what I recommend is doing SP1 rotations. Because the champion is easier to avoid in that, the SP2 is a bit too kind of like beamy on damage, and it's kind of got a Sentinel SP1 vibe to it. So I would say that's all about creating your distance with that when you see the beam coming towards you. However, SP1 rotations are easier to avoid. You can use Dr. Doom at not your peril, but kind of like you're taking all those buffs from responding. Dr. Doom is actually probably one of the best options, to be honest, but you know, I like loads of stuff. As I said, you know, links and information is in the description down below. Those have been my top tips and advice when it comes to Cavalier difficulty and these champions in general, because it's still similar nodes in Uncollected, just a little bit more difficult for Cavalier. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please check out some of the other content I've posted recently up there. Check out the link in the description, information in the description as well for all of the breakdowns of these bosses as well as counters. I will do a Cavalier cheat sheet tomorrow. I just haven't had the time to research all the different champions in the various different types of classes, because it's different to last month. So go figure, I'm going to do something completely brand new. Thanks for watching. Much love to everybody, and see you later on for the live stream. Bye bye.